Welcome to another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and what we have this time is the Takayuki Origami Super Hammered Gyuto 210mm knife. So this knife has a 3-layer construction. It has center hardcore cutting edge steel down the middle of what's known as Origami Blue Paper Super reactive high carbon steel. Heat treats about 62, could be 63-ish Rockwell on that core steel. The core steel is reactive and will stain and rust if you don't wipe it down and clean it and dry it after each use. But the cladding itself is stainless for a little bit easier maintenance. You still have to pay attention to that edge steel and also the spine. You can see the layering on the spine, so you might have a little bit of care there. Well, but it's a good idea when you finish using a knife, clean it, wipe it dry, make sure it's very dry before you put it away, and you'll be fine. The cladding, again, is stainless. It's got a kind of a gray pattern to the finish on the blade grind here, and it might be sandblasted. It kind of looks like it a little bit. And then there's your core steel peeking out there. And then we also have a hammered finish and then a protective kind of what's known as a kurouchi or black finish on the blade. So you have a lot of different features going here. So it's got kind of a regular kind of a hammer marking to it. The weight and dimensions on this can vary a little bit from knife to knife. This particular one is 156 grams or 5.5 ounces. The edge length is about 215 millimeters, so a little over 210, or 8.4 inches from the tip to the back of the heel. The overall length of the blade is about 14.4 inches, 365 millimeters. Thickness-wise, it's a fairly thin blade overall. It pretty much just has a 2.1 millimeter thickness, this particular one, all the way down. This is not it's a pretty sturdy blade. It's got a stiff, kind of confident feel to it. They don't go for super thin tips and super thin edges on this. You can see the thickness of the spine. Get our camera to refocus here. Pretty much just carries in. There's no distal taper or tapering of the thickness of the spine. But once we hit where the grind starts and it starts thinning down towards the tip, or the edge down here, then we start seeing the tip thin up. It's not a super skinny tip. Got a little bit of meat there, and let's look at the back side of the blade so you can see what that grind looks like. And you can see it's not a super skinny edge on it. So this will have kind of a good compromise between durability and performance. The let's see, blade height is about 46 1/4 on this particular sample at the back. The handle type is an ambidextrous. Have nice warm colors to it. It has a octagonal ambidextrous shape to it with a maple main part, and then the ferrule is what's called, I've got rosewood down here that was on the website, but I think this is the red pack of wood, excuse me. So this does indeed look like red pack of wood, excuse me on that. That was the configuration on the other knife from Takayuki I was looking at just before this one. The glue up job is very nice on there, and they've got it sealed up well. Again, it's a octagonal ambidextrous configuration to it. It's a bit on the squarish side, but I'm tired. The other one actually was a little different than this one. This one's just a little bit more blocky on the sides, but still definitely usable. The circumference on this one was about 76 millimeters or 3 inches where the two materials meet. And so this blade has a fair amount of stiffness to it. It's got clean grinds. It's got nicely done fit and finish. I would say that the edge was maybe 6 out of 10 on my scale. This Origami Super is known to kind of hold rather a bit more steep angles on your angle of the actual edge that you put on it. And you can see the left and right edge bevels here. It's got a fair amount of angle aggressiveness to it. You can see kind of how wide that, right there, how wide that is. So it's a little bit wider on the left side of the blade than the right side of the blade. I might characterize this as maybe a 60-40 edge, or possibly even 70-30. But fairly aggressive on the angle. You can kind of see that for how wide that edge bevel is. The let's see, let's look at the close-up of the knife itself. Get our beauty shot here. And so you can see there is some screened in kanji and naming on the right side of the blade. There's your hammered finish. There's your kind of gray sandblasted finish of the blade grind or blade road down to the edge. There's your core steel peeking out. So it's very kind of aesthetic, a lot of dynamics going on here. Here is some screened in kanji on the left side of the blade towards the back. Fit and finish is well done. You've got a little bit of relieving on the choil back here in the neck and then the spine, so it's comfortable out of the box. Let's see, let's look at the cutting board profile. So this particular one has a bit of a flat spot, and every knife's going to be slightly different, but this particular one definitely has a good flat towards that back third of the blade. It kind of flows into a stop. It's not a super hard stop, but it flows nicely into a stop. So you've got a good chopping section in the back of there, and then fairly low belly, and not super aggressive at the tip. Let's see what it looks like. Even though they've got enough curve towards the tip where I can get pretty high without that tip wanting to dig in. And part of that is the wide bevel here kind of moves that tip, the very point of the tip up a little bit. But you can see I can get pretty high on a rock there. So this thing will rock really nicely in the front half, 2/3 of the blade, and then goes into a nice stop. So you can do lots with this. You can do tip draws, push-pull cuts, glide cuts, some chopping in the back, rocking. So this will handle a wide range of different techniques. So there you have a definite kind of a sturdy, confidence-inspiring package on the cutting board. This is the Takayuki Origami Super Hammered Gyuto 210mm knife.